7. Now, millions of pounds of compensation is being paid out to the parents of children who injure themselves at school.
An exclusive Daybreak investigation has revealed just how much local councils forked out last year.
Well, yes, we issued a Freedom of Information request to all the local education authorities in England and Wales, asking how much compensation they paid out to pupils in the last year and what the payouts were for. And we got back an astounding result. The total, including compensation and legal fees, was nearly £5 million. And in many cases, the fees paid to the lawyers who handled the claims was the biggest cost. And perhaps the most questionable result we had was £13,500 for a child who had a book dropped on their foot.
Well, thank you. We're joined by Matthew Stockwell from the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers, secondary school teacher Francis Gilbert, and mum of three and social commentator Liz Fraser. Great to see all of you.
Morning.
Francis, just think, you know, this whole kind of compensation culture that we seem to be in, how is that affecting your job, do you think?
I think, you know, teachers like me are definitely not doing riskier things, you know, taking children on trips and, you know, particularly in science, things like experiments and just not being done because of the health and safety things, you know, accidents with Bunsen burners and things like that. So it is really troubling.
What we think needs to happen is that teachers have to have the confidence to teach pupils in a way which lets them experience life in a perfectly normal.
But that's not happening, as we heard firsthand.
I don't know where the message is getting lost, because the Health and Safety Executive, the Department of Education, are quite clear that they want teachers to take reasonable precautions. If they take those reasonable precautions, there's no reason to suppose, firstly, that an accident will happen, or secondly, that anybody will be pointing at the finger at anybody. So teachers have to have
We've already heard that teachers are not able to do their job. You're saying you can't really do your job, and we're not preparing our pupils for life ahead, are we?
Well, you're chomping at the bit there.
I am. I'm sitting patiently waiting. I mean, you know, from the parents' perspective here, you know, what parents have to remember is that everything we do has a massive influence on how our children understand that the world works. And so really, if parents are going in and parents are showing children that if you hurt yourself, you go straight in there and seek some sort of compensation, which, by the way, it's a compensation for loss or damage or something which has really caused you some sort of personal harm. By going in there every single time and showing children this attitude that if a very small bad things happen to you, the first thing you do is you go in and you seek some sort of compensation for something to you. That's what you're teaching them about how the world works. And as you quite rightly say, you know, but part of being a child and part of being a teacher and a parent, and parents are teachers in a different sort of way, is to teach children to get on in the real world. And we just need to toughen up a little bit. Of course, listen, we have to have systems in place so that if somebody suffers serious damage or loss, you know, in their life, that they can be compensated for that. But if the system allows it to happen, it will continue to happen, because humans being how humans are, humans will always seek to get the most that they can, pretty much. Most humans will seek to get the most they can out of a situation. So if the system allows it, it will continue to happen. The people who are suffering most, probably immediately, actually, is probably the teaching staff, I would say, who can't do their jobs. But ultimately, the people who are suffering are our children, who are being drip-fed this idea from their parents. I remember my 6-year-old stubbing his toe on a paving slab once, 6 years old, and turned to me and say, "Mummy, we could sue." And that did not come from me.
Wow.
No,
but to raise them with that idea is very, very damaging.
And most of the people that are getting in touch are saying exactly the same thing. Louise Porter says, as someone who works in a school, I think it's disgraceful. Not all accidents can be avoided, and we can't wrap children in cotton wool.
OK, well, thank you all.
Yeah,
very
thanks
much
to the three of you.
indeed. Thank you.